Here's what's next on the Nice Guys on Business.
Howard Schultz is an incredible CEO. He's someone who had a vision, a voice, a brand, completely got marketing, completely got, how to connect to his audience. And then he created a different kind of social responsibility message that really resonated with his consumers. So that's how someone can take a story and what they find important to their brand and then build those values up into a multi-billion-dollar company.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss the Nice Guys on Business. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, welcome back. It is Monday, FunkNfans. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. Monday means interviews today, and Doug, it's all about cartoons today, which I love.
Oh, I love cartoons. Have you ever tuned into the cartoon? Oh, you probably do. You watch cartoons a lot of times.
I don't watch them a lot because I don't watch a lot of television, but the cartoons that I like, some of the really good ones I like are at least the newer, more modern ones are on Cartoon Network, like Teen Titans and Gumball. I love Gumball. Gumball's hilarious. Adventure Time is good too.
I can't tell you the last time I tuned into any television show, but if I was going to tune in, I probably would go right to Cartoon Network. I mean, they have some of the great ones like the Flintstones and other stuff, but they have all the ones that they created too. What's the name of that one? Adventure Time? What the heck is that one? Mm-hmm. Adventure Time. My son quotes Adventure Time all the time. Yeah, Teen Titans. Is that what you said? You said
Teen
that was
Titans is
already
really good. Yes, very tongue in cheek. They make fun of themselves a lot.
Of course, one of my favorites, the Powerpuff Girls, of course, and Dexter. I mean, yeah. So Loie is the what was she? The VP
of creative for the Cartoon Network, and she actually has worked for Mattel, Starbucks, CVS, Target. I mean, she's been around. I want to say that in the nicest possible way.
She understands branding. She understands marketing. She understands business. She actually breaks it down to a 101 level so that even though somebody that has tremendous experience like her, no ego at all. Just a nice lady. Came in, talked about the Cartoon Network, talked about her experiences with brand strategy and creative marketing. She actually spent some time talking about one of her favorite passions, which is wine. Also, she is not a $250 a bottle of purchaser. She loves the $10 bucks bottles. So she gives us some of the background on how to pick a good bottle of wine too. So it's not all about the Cartoon Network. It's about some really cool stuff like that too.
Cool. So we are continuing. No, we're not continuing with bingo.
No,
we're going to talk about bingo tomorrow. So a little tease.
They have no idea. This is the first mention of bingo in the Nice Guy community. Well, we don't even know what you're talking about,
we
Strickland.
mentioned it on Thursday's show, like as a joke. Like Sean Carpenter said, hey, I'm trying to fill out my Nice Guys bingo card, which is kind of where we got the idea. But we're going to really get into it tomorrow and give you all the details that we actually are running with that concept of Nice Guy bingo.
No, check out tomorrow's episode. But for now, if you want to participate in not only that, but in our T-shirt giveaway, text the word, you want to text to join. If you want to get information from the Nice Guy community, we want to make sure we're sending you the latest updates of all the fun stuff that we're doing. Text NiceGuys, all one word, NiceGuys. Type that or text that to 31996. We will put you in for our weekly T-shirt giveaway. And I think tomorrow we're going to announce the winner of our T-shirt from last week. So I can't tell you who that is yet, but I will tell you tomorrow.
Well, because we haven't picked it yet,
Yeah, officially, we really haven't. We're in the time machine right now, so no, we have not officially picked it yet.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you are on Overcast, if you're listening, as we know that almost 90% of you do, please make sure you recommend the show. Just go ahead and hit the little gold star, and that's it. So we're ready to go. Is that it? Are we good?
Are we going to keep it quick today? That would be a really good thing, probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can hit them up with Patreon, but we'll do that a little bit tomorrow. So let's just get right to the interview with Loie Maxwell here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Proud to be affiliated with not only the C-Suite Radio Network, but now newer, improveder, the what is it? The Greatness. What the hell is the other podcast network that we are on?
Newer, improveder.
Yeah, newer, improveder. It's much better that way.
Oh, better that way.
Yeah. Did you see our packaging? It's all new.
I love it.
Yeah, it's no longer a cardboard box.
What packaging are you talking about?
The packaging for the Nice Guys products that we have on the on the shelves. You haven't seen that?
We don't have products on any shelf.
None at all? Are you sure?
Not that I know of. What shelf are you speaking of?
We are like Raisin Bran. We are on every. Okay, well, we don't have to. We'll get into that at another episode.
Okay, then, Doug. Whatever you say.
Make one of the bingo squares. Doug lies.
Doug lies. And that would be every single episode.
No, please. We are proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network and the Greatness Podcast Network as well. Let's get to our interview. Loie Maxwell. Creating not just amazing experiences, but magical, purposeful moments is what Loie Maxwell is all about. As VP Creative for Cartoon Network, Loie, she kind of gets it. Not just bringing a great product to the market, it's getting inside your customer's head, whether you are in person, online, via social, personal interaction, delivering what they want when they want it. So mind-blowing, wow factor awesomeness. Boy, that's a lot for Loie. Welcome, Loie, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Hi, Doug.
Is that it? Did I blow it up too far out of proportion, Loie, or is that did I hit it on the mark? I'm not really.
I don't know
really
how magical I really am, but yeah, we try.
Well, from the folks that I've talked to, you're this magical, mythical creature, almost kind of like the unicorn coffee that Starbucks offered just a short time ago.
Yeah, I won't tell you what I don't defecate rainbows, but I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that's okay. And we'll figure this out over the next few moments. And all of a sudden, I had this Nice Guy community, just so you're aware, I had this amazing conversation with Loie right before I opened up the microphone. And I think all of a sudden she got shy because there was a microphone. And I've seen her with a microphone in her face, and she's going to come out of her shell at any moment now. I just know it. Especially being the creative soul that I know you are. So, the list of companies, Loie, it's pretty impressive. I mean, companies like Mattel, Starbucks, CVS, Target, Cartoon Network. I can see your passion is also, though, in wine. So help connect some of those dots there, Loie, because some of them may not even make sense to our listeners.
Well, after my career as a blue chip job hopper, I decided to take a break, and I took some time off for family, and I decided that I needed to know more about social media and building a voice and building a following, and so I actually started a wine blog, and it was a blog that really was in the white space, and because everybody wants to talk about the fancy wines, and of course, wine bloggers get sent free wine. Mm-hmm. I decided to talk about value wines, and my blog is called Cheap Wine Curious, because of course I drink good wines, but I also am very curious about cheap wines. And well, I did get kind of tired of having cheap wines sent to me. So
I want the expensive ones, please.
I got a hiatus from the wine blog, but what was great was I learned a lot about my voice and building an audience. And I did that over 3 years and got almost 6,000 followers, which isn't really many in the wine world. Some of those people have like 300,000 followers.
No, but what's great about it is you probably have 6,000 engaged followers as opposed to having 300,000 people. We can all be Gary V, right? I mean, we can all go that route, and that's the elephant in the room for those that don't know. Gary has this huge wine empire that he's grown. But you don't need to have a huge wine empire, and you don't have to have a huge social media following in order to be successful. And what I think is really a connecting factor, or maybe there's a level of disconnect that we need to do a better job of connecting, is that most creatives really do understand the importance of like the relationship and really the fun, fluffy stuff that's involved in even social media. How is it that as a creative soul you didn't really take social media as a part of your presence? Why? Where was the disconnect for you there?
You mean as far as throughout my roles and why I decided I need to develop it? Well, I have always been able to write somewhat okay, business writing. And I really thought how great would it be to develop a voice? And that was because when I took that time off, I took that break, I was consulting and I had to be more of a one-man band. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like I could just reach out, pick up the phone and call an extension, have a social media person at the end of the line, So I just decided let's get into this. Then of course, I like wine. I like drinking. So I decided to go after something I thought I kind of knew. So anyway, that was really it. And it actually did bring, it added quite a few skills and capabilities to some of the things I was doing with clients. So
I would imagine your who's who and your reference list is probably, it doesn't have to be a mile long because it's pretty deep. I mean, you have some pretty heavy hitters that are part of the organizations that you have worked, especially being somebody that's on the creative aspect at a VP level. You've got the ear of some pretty important people, I would think.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I really love working with CEOs and CMOs and some of the top professionals, even sometimes the head of, the digital and HR, all of them, and obviously corporate communications, et cetera. They all want to make sure that their brand is, that they're delivering on the key points that make people build brand love, and they want to be consistent. And, if you can go the wrong way really fast, as we know from some of the recent events that have happened, brands can have a big snafu, and it's really something you have to manage and stay very close to.
Is United on your client list? I just want to know who I can talk to.
I just want to mention it. I just said, it's only been a week or so, but I just was like, I can't mention that event again.
No, I totally can relate. We had a total shit show of an episode just about a week ago when we spent probably half of our episode, and I was just teeing off on the relationship between the company and the public in that particular case. And we don't have to get into that specific subject anymore because I know that my community ad nauseum has heard me just tee off on it, as I said.
But I can say one thing. I will tell you one. I was around when the CEO of Mattel, Bob Eckert, was called to Congress because of the Polly Pocket fiasco, where a child was actually injured because of these small magnets in the Polly Pockets that we developed. And I will tell you, I was a part of that. I mean, no, I want to indemnify myself right now, but the truth is I was actually, in the mix of that when I was at Mattel. And you can completely damage your brand if you don't know how to handle it, plus also go to prison, I think. But anyway. Okay,
and that's fine. And we don't have to specifically hit that specific subject, but I do want to draw some parallels between a large company and entrepreneurs that we have many of them in our audience. Helped kind of close the gap there in what similarities and what parallels are there between somebody that's running a very large organization and an entrepreneur when it comes to something like brand building or coming to just understanding how their companies are run?
Such an awesome question. So when I work with really young and up and coming entrepreneurs, they basically are trying to express their voice, their feeling, who they are. They are the persona of the brand, and they're trying to bring it out through their company, and they want everyone to know and feel it. And it's really difficult to just distill that essence because they feel so close to their brands and so close to their business. And when you think of a CEO of a larger company, that's can be very much about how shareholders perceive, how Wall Street perceives the company and the brand and the innovation that they're going to bring and what's going to happen in the future to the stock and the growth trajectory. So it's a very, very, very different set of principles. I think I had a lot of fun working on Phil's Coffee with the CEO of Phil's Coffee and his father, who was the founder. They definitely had a very strong voice and a very exciting new startup kind of mode. And I think it was really hard for him to kind of get his head around growing nationwide when he had received some significant investment because he just wanted to make sure the quality was there. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to manage when you're so used to handling 5 stores in the Bay Area. How do you handle a store that's all the way across the country in Washington, D.C.? So we worked on building guides and communications and the voice and the brand story. And we just immersed his executive team in it. And that's how we moved forward with that.
What do you think is the biggest thing that people miss when they try to take something that they know is a good idea, and they have 5 stores? In the case of Phil's Coffee, I don't even know Phil's Coffee, but I'm sure you can.
You will.
I was going to say I'm sure I will at some point. So how do you take somebody that's in our listening audience right now that has a handful of locations, or maybe has just a single place, but they see it as a scalable business and they just don't know what they can't see beyond the single entrepreneur business? How do you even begin to fathom having a business that's out there and so scalable?
Really, the first thing is you get that 2 to 3 paragraphs of what is the brand story and what are the values behind your company. And, in Phil's case, it was really like, keep it real. We're gritty. We're an up and coming coffee company that creates a personalized experience. That might be why there's lines outside our stores. And you know what? People are such huge fans of that coffee company that they literally will wait in line far longer than they'll wait at a Starbucks. But it's so you can see the parallel though, because I think, as we all know, Howard Schultz is an incredible CEO. He's obviously retired now, but he is someone who had a vision, a voice, a brand, completely got marketing, completely got, how to connect to his audience. And then he created a different kind of social responsibility message that really resonated with his consumers. So that's how someone can take a story and what they find important to their brand and then build those values up into a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right, and you brought up Schultz, so I'm going to stay with that for just a moment, because what I thought was really interesting, and I've gone into some Starbucks recently and found this to be the case, and maybe you've experienced this as well, but now they use this new labeling system as opposed to using the handwritten. In some of the busier stores, I think they're using the handwritten stuff on the cup is no longer, and they're actually printing out and pasting that label onto a cup. And as I bring up this point to many different audiences that I speak at all across the country, I'm like, what do you think is that? What do you think it is that they've lost in this step? Because you lose that personal service, and isn't that really what Starbucks was based upon? I mean, why does it seem like that is a direction that they're going, or did they not feel like that was an important aspect of their cafes?
I haven't been at Starbucks for quite a while, so
you spent all your time at Phil's.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak to it because I don't know what were the business reasons behind the decisions. And, running a quick serve restaurant, QSR restaurant, is like very, very difficult to optimize and to keep the customers happy with speed and time and all that. But I will say that the handwritten name on the cup, and some of them were grossly misspelled, and it was funny, and you'd see the viral.
Yeah, that was like unpaid. It was free advertising for them.
Yeah, it was free advertising. It was really cool, and some of it was hilarious. But I think that's a opportunity that they had to connect, and I think it was very personal, and I think that they were even leveraging kind of the artistry of it in some instances. So I think it was a very, very important touch to their business, and I can only imagine that there's some new challenges that they're faced with.
Well, they've tried to undo it by having the unicorn drink or whatever that was for the. I've read so many articles. Again, I think part of the approach that Starbucks takes is how interesting, how creative can we be so that we don't have to spend any money in advertising, but we get all of our customers to be the advertising souls for us, and this new unicorn drink is going to be the one. It was only for 5 days that they had this drink out, but it's created, a wealth of free advertising for them as well.
Well, it's genius. And the pumpkin spice latte. Yeah. Oh my God, addictive, and people just wait and wait and wait all year for that pumpkin spice latte. So it's they create moments, and that's really important. And then of course, one other thing I want to mention about that cup thing is, they test a lot. And they have the volume of stores to do those tests. So, it may or may not work out. They may get enough feedback that they'll go back to just handwritten, cups.
So, Loie, when I introduced you, and I know I do this sometimes tongue in cheek, and sometimes I'm not really sure because this actually could be the reality of it. When I introduced you, I talked about delivering mind-blowing wow factor awesomeness. Actually, to quote myself, can you even quote yourself? I think you can. So I use those words, but those kind of experiences they aren't just lucky. They're based upon oftentimes big data. And I know you've done many interviews as I've caught on YouTube and some various channels and some written stuff also about big data. How can regular people, though, with regular companies, create these mind-blowing wow factor awesomenesses? They don't have access to this big data, or do they?
There are a couple thoughts on that. I worked at CVS Pharmacy, and that was an incredible organization when it came to managing and utilizing data to really drive the business. As you can see how successful they've become. But then I worked at companies like Target, who really went off of some of the most creative and instinctual marketing you could imagine. They also had huge budgets, but they definitely they used much more instinct. And then, Starbucks was very instinctual. I think that they took the data and they appreciated it, but then at the end of the day, they really did what they felt was right. So I think, and now I'm at a media company, data is really critical, and they just are actually trying to figure out new ways to manage data. So I think there are just so many touch points, and I think that there's so many different ways you can do it. I can't really say that someone who does not have access to data can't still create incredible experiences and really do, generate demand. I think what they have to do is just listen really closely to their customers. And I think that feedback loop is probably the most important thing that they can do in the event that they don't have access to that type of information. I
mean, ultimately, even some of the organizations in social channels like Facebook, I mean, they have all the algorithms in place already, and they're willing very cheap, very inexpensively to sell you the demographics and the information so that you can market your services. They're not going to give you the information, but they're going to market to who they feel it would be most beneficial to have your products in their hands. So I guess I'm answering my own question to a degree, thinking I guess companies and organizations like Facebook probably do that for the individual. They can do that for solopreneurs. You don't have to be a big company to take advantage of their data. So it's probably everywhere. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, I think and especially now, I think if you dig a little bit, you can pretty much find a resource. But I also think there's a lot of great information, even from some of the trades and some of the some companies that publish white papers, et cetera, that you're going to be able to glean really good information for your specific area of focus in business.
Yeah,
but I have to tell you, I still think, this is not just because I'm a creative hoo-ha. There really are just incredibly talented people who have the gut and the instinct. And I just think a lot of entrepreneurs can validate this, that if you've got that killer instinct and you have that gut, data is going to help you, but it's not going to solve your problems, So that's the one thing I can say. Okay,
so because you're very knowledgeable in the big data world, and because you do have an entrepreneurial streak, I can tell that from your cheap wines thing. So are you one of those people that can you turn big data into profit?
I wouldn't. I can't make any promises, but I can tell you that I can definitely help people recognize what's important. And I am actually pretty good at reading and understanding data and how it's going to impact you. But I will say it can't solve all your branding problems. Obviously, the issues that happen day to day, you have to really have a good instinct. And I think that's also important, finding somebody who has a great instinct. Finding someone who is a trusted, brand leader, brand partner in the community. I think that's what's important, is really being balanced in data and in instinct.
Agreed. And we had a couple weeks ago, it might be a month now since the interview aired, we had a data scientist. Her name was Jen Golbeck, and she was the director of, I think, one of the data centers, or maybe the entire department at the University of Maryland. And it would be amazing to watch the two of you being more of the creative soul and she being more of the data soul, actually work on a project together. I'm definitely connecting you two at some point. You guys figure out I know there's business in there. My job as the connector is like, I have this entrepreneurial streak in me that says I want, even if it's not me, I want other people to be successful doing their own thing also. So
I love it. One thing I did was connect with my partners in the loyalty program at CVS, which is really by far the largest and one of the best. And I loved working with them because they could actually see the results and we could adjust our creative. And, when you work a lot of online business and e-commerce, I had been at oldnavy.com as a consultant for a while. When you see that immediate result and get that immediate feedback, that I think is really powerful. And when you can actually react to it creatively and instinctually, it's really great.
Yeah, in today's social world, you really can do, if you have the right management team behind you who has empowered you to make the decisions, you can change on a dime in this social climate that we live in, because advertising and the way your information gets out into the public, it can literally be changed in one tweet. It can be changed in one action. And that was something it never was. You have to go through the entire creative department, put an advertisement online or put an advertisement on television, wait for the results, check with Nielsen, see what the ratings were for the show. I mean,
absolutely.
It became a lot more challenging. So many entrepreneurs that I know go from concept to concept and project to project. And what I found really great was you actually, you either wrote an article, you were talking about something that we live in a gig economy. Was that you that had written that, or maybe you had put something together, or maybe you collaborated with somebody? Do you know about this gig economy, or can you share how this works?
Yeah, it's so funny you said that. I don't know where you got that, but maybe it was from a friend of mine.
I've been doing some digging, girl.
Oh, that's scary. So a friend of mine, she and I were talking about that because, there's a lot of people in transition in their lives, and they realize God, I can't be on this clock, that's so rigorous, 12-hour days and 5 different bosses and all that, and people actually managing people, and so the gig economy, as of what I know it to be, is one where I actually entered it about 4 years ago and just really leveraged my network. I never, it's funny, I would advise on websites and e-commerce and branding, and people would ask me if I had a website, and I'd be like, no. It's like the shoemaker's children, right?
Yep.
Well, I just lived off of my relationships, not like inappropriately, but I did totally work with people who I'd worked with and who trusted me and who knew me, and I had the best time, leveraging those relationships and getting gig after gig after gig. And I think people are realizing that's really viable and that you can have a balanced life. Now, I mean, you have to build those relationships. You probably have to get to a point in your career where you can really do that, or have a really amazing specialized expertise. But, I think the world is moving towards people doing what they want to do and having the balance in their life. And I'm sure with millennials, I'm sure you've had millennial podcasts. They have a different way of viewing the world and how they want to live and work. So, I love the fact that that's happening. It's harder, I think, for people who are, very accustomed to having a career and a job. But I think if you've actually thought about the relationships you've built, hey, listen, I was always nice to the interns. Okay. I'm going to give that piece of advice. If someone can get an internship at Target, or CVS, they're going to end up running like a major private equity firm one day, probably in a couple of years. And I've gotten gigs from interns, but thought I was the nicest person to them in the whole world. And, it turns out they hire me later as a consultant, So,
I'm going to be nice to you because I know you got a lot of wine in your future. So
I hope so. Tequila.
Oh, yeah. So do you have time for a couple of personal questions, too? Because I want to go there, too. We're running out of time, but I want to ask you some stuff about wine and other things. Can I ask?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm the kind of guy that I love a great bottle of wine, but is there a big difference between like a $15 bottle and a $215 bottle of wine in terms of like taste?
So that's a really multi-layered question. Real shortly, probably not. but there is like certain collectors and people who the value is placed on the rarity and the collectability and then the unique experience. So a $15 bottle wine may taste like a $250 bottle wine, but there's something in that $250 bottle wine that may not be just a phony baloney marketing tool. It could actually have certain unique qualities, whether it's the blend and it may not even taste great, quite frankly. Some people buy these wines because they want the experience. Now, I'm more of the kind, like, I kind of want to like my wine and I kind of don't want to spend $250. So I go for the $15 bottle because or even the $10 bottle if I like it. And then I do appreciate certain nuances because when you're taken through a tasting, I like to talk about the wine and geek out on the wine. And some people just they just want to drink.
They just want to drink it. Yeah. Yeah. I have a very challenging time. A very good friend of mine, he has a pretty extensive collection in his house that's probably the same value as the house that I'm living in right now. Just the entire house in his bottles of wine.
I have friends like that too.
And I never understand it because he wants to talk about the wine and he wants to talk about it's very, tobacco forward. It's like, I don't give a shit. I just want to drink the wine.
Just wait till they talk about barnyard.
I don't even understand how later on it opens up and it's like, oh, it needs to sit. I'm like, can we just open it? Can we just unscrew the cap?
I have to tell you, the best experience you could ever have. And I live in Sonoma and I live in Burbank. I straddle right now. And I'm literally go to a vineyard and ask the winemaker to take you out and taste the grapes. And when you just taste the grapes and then you taste the wine, you kind of make a weird connection. And it's pretty fun. Yeah.
No, I still want to just want to open the wine and drink it, Loie. That's too involved. I got to get out into a field.
I'm sorry.
There's a good chance I'm going to step on a bug in the process. I don't want to do that. It's outside. I got to leave my house. I have to take my pajamas off and actually get dressed. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So wait, you made a couple of references before and maybe even after we opened up the microphone. You were talking about tequila. So tell me, you're a tequila girl too?
I'm very excited about the tequila. So in this last 3-4 years where I had time off, I advised CEOs, and one of them was this young upstart, really amazing guy named Sal Chavez, and he is the CEO of Puente Internacional, and he and I jump-started this company, and he's a real leader in the community. He's just turned 30.
Oh my gosh.
On the school board. He's a successful restaurateur.
I hate him already just because he's 30.
I know. And has a beautiful wife and is very good looking and is very well spoken and everything. And he's first generation Mexican American, and he literally wanted to develop a mezcal. And I met him through a network, and he basically said, branding, and I want to make a mezcal. Let's go down to Michoacan, which also happens to be one of the most dangerous narco states in Mexico. But it was a fabulous trip. We went to the out to the plantations of agaves, and we made this mezcal called La Luna. And it is exquisite, is very smooth, and most mezcals are incredibly harsh, and some of the aficionados love the harsh, weird, taste like smoky gasoline type of mezcals.
Right.
The other thing we did was we worked with a couple of cousins who have this incredible tequila called Grande Abejo. And listen, I'm not trying to sell these brands because they're very limited release, but they are so freaking good. So I went to Arandas, which is in the highlands of Jalisco, and went to the agave fields there and went to this distillery, and it was master distilled, and I saw the whole process. And I'll tell you, anybody who really loves spirits and loves tequila, and I know some people say tequila doesn't love them, but I will say when you drink good tequila, it's like drinking a fine scotch. And I mean, it's like wine too. It's like we went and did barrel tastings and we did all this stuff. And so Grande Abejo is our Reposado and Nejo and Blanco, and it's fabulous. So
you're going to have to send me a link. You're going to have to send me a link to it so I can put it in the show notes. As in, Loie is a mezcal drinker as well.
And I will say, I'm hoping that's what I'm banking on for my retirement, is because ultimately Sal's hope is that we'll have a buyer for the brands.
No,
I think it's super exciting.
That would
business.
be terrific. I'm hoping that you have some equity in the company instead of the cash in order to pay your bills today, right?
I do. So it's exciting.
So you don't strike me as a rocker, but you put down when I asked you name a tune that you think that you like. You picked an AC/DC tune. So are you an AC/DC fan, or did you just pick it because it's Back in Black?
That's hilarious. Yes. I do like AC/DC. No, I was a little bit of a rocker when I was in high school.
Okay.
I like all kinds of music. In fact, everything. So I went to Monsters of Rock. I saw AC/DC in concert. I saw, Motley Crue in concert. I also saw U2. I also saw David Bowie. I saw Dio.
So you're a fan. You're an eclectic. You have eclectic taste in music. Let's just say.
I do. I'm a little, believe it or not, now I'm more into Bach. So
okay.
Not Sebastian Bach, but Bach, as in Bach, the Johann.
Sebastian Bach. I got one final question before we wrap up the interview here. So you're getting an invitation in the mail, let's say, and you pick out that invitation from your mailbox, and you get home and you open up the invitation, and all invitations they tell you where and when and all that stuff. And one of the things that's included in that is the dress code. Okay, so what dress code are you hoping to have on the invitation that you receive?
Well, I love to dress up.
Okay,
so I like. I totally love formal. I love seeing guys in tuxedos.
All right, so black tie would be your black tie for the guys. So
black tie and ball gowns are fun. Yeah, for sure.
All right, great, excellent. Yeah. And one final question: do you have your phone anywhere near you?
I do.
Excellent. Do you have an iPhone or something inferior?
iPhone.
Excellent.
I have two iPhones near me.
Double. Hold on a second. Excellent job. A double header. Go to either one of. Do you have your phone? Can you put your hands on either one of them?
I sure can.
Okay, excellent. Either phone that you want to, go to it and tell me what is the last text message you either sent or received.
Okay. Last text message I sent or received. Okay. The last text message I sent was in the VO, which means we're working on something right now, and I had to make sure that they didn't screw up the voiceover.
Okay. All right. And go to your photo app and tell me what is the last picture you took.
Oh my God. The last picture I took, I'm sure it's like, the last picture I took or screenshot I took.
Yeah, that's fine. Either way. The
last picture I took was a screenshot of the women from Ab Fab, and I put words over it saying, "Karen, run, darling, run. There's birthday cake and tequila at the finish line."
That's awesome.
And I put it on Facebook.
Nice. Way to go. So way to share your friends socially and the fact that they're all drinkers, right?
I don't want you to think I have a problem. I really don't.
I don't think you have a problem. I think you understand it exactly. You're the resolution, not the problem.
Thank you.
Loie, if our listening audience, community members wanted to get in touch with you to find out a little bit more about what you did or do, or want to get in hold of your vodka or your tequila or anything that you're connected with, no vodka, but of course the wine, also wine and tequila, how can they reach out to you?
Go to my blog, cheapwinecurious.com, and comment.
All right,
I respond to every comment.
And they can subscribe there, I'm assuming, as well.
Absolutely.
All right, excellent. Well, Loie, thank you so much for being a valuable part of our community today. Sorry to keep you so long. Your story is so interesting. I'm like, no, I don't want to stop talking now. So.
I know. I'm all over the place. No, thank you, Doug.
You're all good. My pleasure. Nice Guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Loie for being a part of the show today. Loie Maxwell. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Click on the Patreon link in the show notes. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help support the podcast and get access to fun bonus content. That's like half a cup of Starbucks coffee once a month, a grande, double shot, maybe a little flavoring. Thanks for listening. I mean, seriously, you need to cut back on your caffeine anyway.